Welcome to Univar Solutions Innovation Day session from our CASE lab at the Houston Solution Center. My name's Joshua Ackerman, and I serve as the Global Marketing Manager for our coatings, adhesives, sealants, elastomers, and rubber and plastic additives group. I'm proud to introduce you to several key members of our formulating and development team here in North America who will be showcasing some of the challenges one can face when formulating sustainable coatings. We at Univar Solutions take sustainability very seriously and are proud to be leaders in the development of the concepts and processes encompassed within the initiatives. The various CASE markets, especially coatings, serve markets that are incredibly innovative and have the potential to deliver major benefits to the world and the goals around sustainability. From high-performance coatings to improve longevity and reduce deterioration of substrates, to architectural paints that don't detriment the environment or the applicants and last longer, this industry has a lot to offer. We've surveyed our customers and discussed challenges seen in sustainability metrics for some time. And one of the main issues is uncertainty in navigating what makes a final product sustainable and how can they take advantage of these claims. This is one of the reasons we now offer the Essential Guide to Sustainable Coatings, which is available to download. This guide helps customers better understand how to offer up sustainable products and improve profits, which is a key aspect of acting sustainably. Today, you'll see in the demonstrations and conversation between our technical leads some of the challenges our customers may encounter when trying to go sustainable with their end products. We hope to showcase the various ways our labs can offer you consultative assistance, whether you're a customer or supplier, and we're opening the door to continuing the dialogue on what sustainability means today and what it will mean tomorrow.
Hello, my name is Steve Holman. I'm the Application Development Manager for CASE Business, Univar Solutions North America.
And my name is Ralph Barthel. I'm the Technical Services Manager for CASE at the Houston Solution Center.
Hey Ralph, it's great to see you and be here in the Houston Solution Center CASE Lab, Analytical Services Lab that we have here. We're here, Ralph, to talk about an evolving topic in our industry, which is this concept of sustainability in coatings. There is certainly a lot that we can offer across the board, but there is one subject that is a little bit near and dear to my heart, as Univar Solutions has been a member of an organization called the Roof Coating Manufacturers Association now for decades, very active member in that association, and that is the concept, Ralph, of these white reflective roof coatings that are used in building maintenance applications. The sustainable concept that we're talking about here is not only applying a white reflective roof coating that will reflect UV light and emit the heat that gets absorbed into that coating. Any light that does get absorbed and energy gets emitted back out into the atmosphere. So it's an important driver moving forward in terms of keeping that building space cooler, less energy demand. Plus, on top of that, Ralph, it reduces the amount of landfill waste if you have to tear that roof off. Yep. Instead of tearing it off, coat it with a white reflective roof coating and extend the life of that building. So we've done quite a lot of work in that space for a number of customers around testing in this area. Any insight that you can give us there?
Yeah, Ollie and I have been doing a bunch of testing on exactly that product. Ollie's done work with Instron to do tensile elongation, tear resistance, peel strength, water permeability, water swelling, all of those tests to prove that they meet the ASTM D6083 requirements.
So Ralph, there is one key test method that is an ASTM test method called D6083 that includes a lot of different types of performance testing. One of the key attributes around this particular ASTM test method is the flexibility, tensile properties of these types of coatings. We have the equipment in our lab to test against these properties.
Exactly, we do. And we just came up with a template to make that process a little bit quicker and more repeatable, where we glue down the elastomeric roof coating fabric with the coating so that then we can do the peel testing repeatably to get good results. See, at least so the results aren't affected by our handling of the substrate. And then Ollie casts free films to make the elongation and tear samples. Those are the three big tests that we run on the Instron to confirm the performance of these coatings against the specification.
Ralph, there are other challenges that come with formulating elastomeric roof coatings other than the low temperature flex properties, including some regulatory trends that are affecting these types of coatings. So concepts like formulating zinc oxide free type coatings, or removing the APEO type surfactants that are used in these coatings. Our lab can help with that as well.
Oh, definitely. We've done some work doing exactly that to remove the APE-free surfactants out of the systems. And as our suppliers make new polymers with less offensive catalysts, we use those materials to make them more sustainable, more friendly for the user.
So Ralph, we do have customers that we sell in this space that apply these coatings. As you can see in the video content that we have here, a customer of ours that applies an asphaltic type waterproofing barrier that gets embedded with a fabric material. And you can see the workers in the video applying that. And then once that is dry, it gets coated with the white elastomeric roof coating, which is the sustainable concept that we're talking about. So we have a number of different capabilities in our case lab to handle different chemistries around this reflective roof coating space, because there are different chemistries involved here, Ralph. There's water-based acrylics, there are solvent-based thermoplastic rubber type materials, there are polyurethanes and polyurethane type chemistries. All of these types of chemistries are called out in a relatively recently published sustainable line card that we have.
Yeah, the line card actually helps us a lot in the lab as well, so we know what's out there to use for that exact purpose.
So Ralph, listen, I'm going to throw you a curveball here, and this is a relatively recent trend that is kind of tangent to these reflective roof coatings, and that is to address the urban heat island effect, the concept of applying a slightly reflective asphalt type of coating on all of our roads. So that's coming your way. We have a few customers that have asked about that, and we're going to be looking for your lab to help out with that as well.
That's what we're here for. We're here to look for the new projects. We could test those very similar to what we do with the roof coating, so I don't think that'll be a problem.
So as part of the sustainable landscape, we look to help customers formulate in a high solid space, which means you're shipping more of the active coating or paint and less of the carrier, either being water or solvent. Can you give us an example of where you've done some work there?
Yes, we have two new coatings, a white and a yellow traffic line stripe, where we played with different neutralizing agents to make them dry better and faster. We have a new test apparatus to test tire pickup, because the one thing you don't want to have is, as they're applying the stripes on the road, somebody come right behind them and take it off with their tires as they drive down. So that was a new piece of apparatus that we got so that we could test it in the lab.
So Ralph, to get the stability needed in these high solids coatings, especially around pigment stability, you've got application equipment to address that formulating concern.
Right. The most important thing with any pigmented coating is to have those pigments dispersed properly. And you can see that as the material is being mixed, it forms a nice donut-shaped appearance around the agitator shaft, and it'll start slowly evolving around, and you know you had a good dispersion formulation when you see that.
So in this space, Ralph, we are working on another concept that is just evolving right now, which is to develop some water-based coatings in the industrial coating space that are considered to be good, better, and best, and some of that revolves around high solids formulating as well.
Right, we're looking at that for a direct-to-metal application to see a wide variety, as you said, a good, better, best scenario where we can look at performance, price, corrosion resistance, so that we have a a space available for the customer, however they want, where do they want to go? Do they want to pay for the performance? Do they want to have a economical coating? We'll have the options for them.
And so these formulations, Ralph, that you and your lab are putting together around good, better, best, also build in some other sustainable concepts that we'll discuss as well, things like formulating with APEO-free surfactants and low VOC content.
Correct. Yeah, we definitely want to have as low VOC as we can, because again, it's just going to be evaporating into the air, and you don't want that. When we evaluate the surfactants, we want to look at things like viscosity, stability, color acceptance, gloss, to make sure that when you swap out those surfactants with APE-free, you don't have any other issues.
Ralph, in this space of high solids coatings, especially around traffic paint, I've seen firsthand examples of how important it is for these types of paints to dry very quickly.
Yeah, I've seen supplier literature where they've actually done that and show the cars following behind the application equipment so that it dries faster. We in the lab just have the little wheelie thing on the incline board, so that's all we have to do.
And Ralph, in the spirit of throwing you a curveball, I'm going to throw you another one here. I'm looking at my notes, and there's actually a relatively new development that we are seeing, which is taking that fast dry traffic paint, high solids concept, and cross-linking it with water-based acrylic epoxy hybrid. So again, that's going to be more work that we're going to be looking at your lab to work on.
Always looking for the new things.
So another part of sustainability is this whole concept of VOCs. It's been around for decades. It's been around since I've been working with the company for the past 36 years. How were we looking to address the issue of VOCs in our lab?
Well, we try to formulate the coatings with as low a VOC as possible. We've recently got some materials that'll allow us to pull out the higher VOC coalescing solvents and replace them with VOC compliant coalescing solvents so that we get the same nice tight dry film as seen on the minimum film forming temperature apparatus, and gives the same performance but now much lower VOC.
So you're addressing this from a separate additive type perspective. What I'm seeing as well, Ralph, is the reduction of the glass transition temperature of these different polymers that are used to make these films. And when that happens, you get problems, other problems that crop up around things like black, around just the general softness of these films. Are we addressing that in any way as well?
Well, anytime they bring a new polymer to us, we have to characterize how they behave and what we have to do to make sure we use it in the most economical way we can. So anytime those changes happen, we have to stay ahead of them.
And there's additional problems that come in, and this might even come back to your good, better, best, right, type formulating concept around industrial coatings, is as you look to reformulate these things and take out components that add other benefits like open time and freeze-thaw type resistance, those properties are going to be affected as well.
Right. Just like we said with the coalescing solvents, there are new additives that address those exact properties. Sometimes the polymer comes with freeze-thaw stability, but now as they're making these modifications, they don't come with freeze-thaw stability. So we have to add that with different ingredients. And we have one that'll allow us to address freeze-thaw stability. And kind of on the other side to that is open time, or if it's going to dry too fast, we have an additive that'll allow that open time or the working time to stay open long enough for the application to be finished.
So in the lab here, the Case Solution Center, we can run all of these different tests like the minimum film formation temperature, dry time tests, viscosity, freeze-thaw testing in your lab.
All of those apparatus we have, yes. For the minimum film forming temperature test, that apparatus is key so that we know what temperature the applicator has to be above so that he gets a nice tight film as he applies it. So either the polymer has to have that or we have to add additives to lower that temperature so that they don't have any issues. For viscosity, we have a variety of viscometers that we can use to measure that property and measure stability by taking a sample, measuring the viscosity, putting it in an oven or a refrigerator, and then bring it back out and checking it again to make sure the viscosity stays stable with time.
What if you freeze the sample in the refrigerator?
You want to do that because that's going to happen. It's going to freeze solid, but what you want to make sure is that once it does thaw out, the properties return. And with these additives, sometimes you have to wait longer than you would anticipate. But once they're totally thawed, they're back to where they were before they were thawed, so they're still a good, stable product.
And you'll test all the performance attributes of that coating after it freezes and thaws out?
Correct.
Over multiple cycles, I might think, as well.
Yeah, I think typical is at least 3 or 5. For the dry time, we have 2 apparatus that we can measure. It's a stylus that travels at a certain rate over the drying film, and it leaves a pattern that's easily read. There's 4 different stages of drying that you can measure with these instruments. One's circular, so it kind of moves like a clock, and then another one is linear, it just moves in a straight line, and you adjust the time that it takes to do the revolution.
In the world of sustainability, often enough concepts are driven, Ralph, around regulatory concerns, and there is the continuing concern around the use of the APEO type surfactant chemistry in all sorts of applications. The large applications are cleaners, but you know that a lot of these chemistries get used in the coating space that we work in.
Yeah.
So there's regulations that are coming over from Europe. There are regulations or customers that are demanding. So I ran into recently one of the very large automotive manufacturers here in the US asking for APEO surfactant-free formulations. This is a concept that cuts across not only the purposeful surfactants that get put in, but also the surfactants that are used as stabilizers for many of the raw materials. So customers need to look at this holistically, but this is definitely a trend that we are seeing in our coatings application space as well. You've been doing some work around that.
Right, yeah, I mean, the APEO-free materials can come in the surfactants themselves, in the binders, in the thickeners, so we have to be careful of all of the places that they could be included. And as soon as we find an alternative to those materials, that's what we do. We systematically go through, swap them out, and then make sure that viscosity stays the same,
Right.
the color acceptance stays the same, gloss.
Right.
Any property that we would measure, we want to make sure that before and after they are the same.
Yeah, because you don't necessarily realize these are usually additives that are put in at a very small level, but they're important and they affect a lot of different properties, but primarily properties that relate to wetting the substrate that the coating is being applied on, wetting the pigments and fillers that are used in the coatings, and acting as a simple dispersant as well.
Right, you'll see that in a drawdown if it doesn't wet right or if it doesn't disperse the pigment well, and you'll see it in viscosity and gloss. They'll be just different.
And so that's the challenge when you switch from an APEO surfactant chemistry over to something that's APEO free and becomes now something that regulatory-wise is easy to formulate with.
Right, and it's always a balance because it's not just going to be take one out and put it in. You're going to have to balance all of the other ingredients to get back to the appearance that you want. And that's something we do all the time in the lab.
So that's great to hear around the work that you're doing to replace the APEO type surfactant chemistry, because we continue to hear from customers a need to do this for the customers that they're supplying, because that demand is coming and it's coming very quickly.
Right, we are trying to stay ahead of that with these ingredients so that we can react whenever those customers come back and ask us for modifications.
So Ralph, I've seen some testing done in the industry and from some of our suppliers around this concept of replacing surfactant chemistries. Some of the properties that you mentioned that are really very important around viscosity stability, because surfactant plays an important part there. Gloss development and gloss enhancement, especially around color, right? Because coatings deliver that aesthetic that we're looking for, which is the color. You don't want to change that. And then also foam. So, you know, surfactants are used. The large application is in cleaning, where customers look for that foam because it gives an impression of cleaning. In our world, foam is bad. So Ralph, even very specifically in our analytical lab that we have here at the Houston Solution Center, we've got the capability to measure very specific foam development.
Correct. They have a nice apparatus that they can use to measure foam height and foam decay time. In the lab, we can do simple vial shakes and compare them side by side just to do a quick optimization, but the analytical guys can give us a good number to confirm what we've screened.
So Ralph, it's always great to come down here to the Houston Solution Center. The work that you're doing in the lab here around sustainable coatings is getting noticed out in the field with our customers. So appreciate the time that you spend here today.
Good. We always look for the curveballs you keep throwing to us to keep us on our toes, and we enjoy doing it.
Keep it coming.
Good.
Steve, Ralph, that was a great segment. Really appreciated seeing all the work that's being done there in the lab in Houston, as well as the feedback from the customers, Steve. It sounds like the initiatives that we find to be very important within the coating space regarding sustainability are actually gaining traction in the marketplace, which is great to hear. But it's clear from the responses, we do have some questions about how people can implement. So if you're okay with it, let's roll right into it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
So the first question, I think this is pretty understandable, is the lab certified? So Ralph, can you take that?
Sure. No, we are not a certified lab. We're a research and development facility. We follow best practices, so we will have good data to present, especially good comparative data, but we're not certified.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's see, the second question, I think this one is for, I'm going to take this one. Can you argue your way into any raw material being called sustainable? I think that's a completely valid question, something that we've gotten before, because when it comes to especially sustainable formulations, where that end product is seen as delivering high sustainability, there's going to be some raw materials that aren't necessarily certified or seen as terribly sustainable. So it's incumbent upon us as the distributor working with our suppliers, I think, to, for lack of a better term, keep our noses clean and really be honest and truthful about and rigorous about what we include in our sustainable line card or claims when it comes to that end product and why it's sustainable and what alternatives there are for the raw material. If there's an alternative for a raw material in a sustainable formulation that is, safe as water or safely biological or green, then it would be incumbent upon us to remove that less safe or not as green, environmentally friendly product, I'd say. So can we? Yes, but the goal is no. We do not want to be party to greenwashing, neither do our suppliers. So we will keep ourselves honest, and we look for feedback from our customers to help with that too. All right, next question. Does your lab have the ability to measure VOC beyond method 24? You want to take that one, Ralph?
Sure. Yeah, the analytical lab can do an ASTM method D6886, and that'll measure VOC by GC.
Excellent. Are those, follow up just for me, are those the two main methods that you would use in that type of arena?
Yes, they are. I believe they are working on a headspace GC mass spec to take it even a step further, but that is not, it is currently under evaluation.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Next question. How do I learn more about the specific Univar case and analytical lab resources? How about you, Steve? Can you answer that one?
Yeah, Josh. So, I guess the easy button answer there is to get with your Univar Solution account manager, and they can work with their technical support resources, which is what we call our application development specialists, the field technical support people. We do have a list of, a promotional piece of literature that does list the capabilities of both the case lab as well as the analytical services lab. And I would even take it one step further, Josh and everybody, that if anybody wanted to take maybe a virtual tour, or if you were ever in the Houston area, you're certainly, welcome to stop by. We'll set it up, get you all set up to come into the facility here and take any kind of tour that you might want to do.
Excellent.
Yeah, we always like visitors.
Absolutely. Let's see. Next question. Where do I get the starting point formulations available from the coatings lab? I guess either of you guys, how do the customers access those formulations and starting points?
So listen, Ralph, I'll jump in here as well. And again, it's I recognize it's fairly easy answer here to say, go to your Univar Solutions account manager and the field technical resources that we have. Everybody, the information that we have is very, very good formulating guides. What we like to do when we engage with customers or our suppliers is build a business case. So we're going to want to have those conversations before we release a lot of detailed information. And Josh, I would say that that's the answer that I would give. A lot of resources, but we're going to want to, for everybody's buy-in to build a nice business case to get that content out to the customers and suppliers that we work with.
Yeah, and I mean, if I can add, from a lot of our campaigns on our websites, we do provide some starting point guidance as far as certain end products. Like we recently did polyurethanes campaign and most recently sustainable coatings, and we do give some formulation starting guidance but not full formulations there because everybody's end use is very tailored in these markets, I would say, and it's hard to give one formulation that anybody could actually start from. So we try and bend toward guidance rather than full formulated. Is that accurate?
Yeah, Ralph, I'd be willing to suggest that there's a lot of formulation tweaking that's going on. Correct, Ralph?
Oh yeah. That's always, and especially when suppliers change, you need to modify those materials to keep it most current.
Yes.
Yep. All right, I think we got time for one more question. What sets the Univar Solutions Solution Center apart from the competitors?
So Ralph, my personality is I'll jump right in ahead of anybody else here. So I would say everybody, just really the capabilities that we have in the coatings lab. I've seen customers come through and really be interested in specific testing. Everybody, as we mentioned before, will invite customers into the Solution Center, even to the extent, Josh, where we actually sign some contracts with customers where they have standing lab time in our resource for them to come in and work in our lab on the equipment that they may not have available. And I'll tell you, Josh, that combined with the analytical services lab, which is right next door, often enough when we bring projects into our lab that are beyond formulating, where we're looking to maybe do a deconstruct or some type of separate analytical analysis, to have that analytical lab resources literally the next door down really supports the case lab that we have here. And guys, listen, and this is going to sound, fairly common as well, but we have, listen, our formulations, we're going to build these formulations around our world-class suppliers and the products that they have. So, all of that kind of rolled up together, I think is going to separate us from many of our competitors.
Yeah, you can look at us as an extension of the R&D capabilities of our suppliers, where they might not have I'm sure they have the ability, they might have the bandwidth to spend time on intermediate and smaller customers that we might be able to support.
And as a distributor, we have the ability to look at arguably a broader portfolio to understand the merits of so many different raw materials available and evaluate benchmarks from, HIC or beauty and personal care that could have efficacy into the case markets.
Yep, Josh. So when somebody comes to us with, for example, right, the easy button is a low VOC formulation. We're going to start with a low VOC resin. We're going to use the low VOC dispersants and rheology modifiers. We're going to use the low VOC amine additives that we have available. So right? When a customer comes to us with looking for the ultimate low VOC or the ultimate corrosion protection, or right any other category or thing that a customer might be looking for, we got a big basket of solutions to choose from to put into that formulation.
Excellent.
And it can be just anything that solves a problem for them. You know, if they have an issue handling a material, maybe we can come up with a better way for them to handle it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we can also work with our co-pack and our packaging group as well, from down packing or labeling issues, and so many different facets. Excellent. Well, again, thank you, gentlemen, for your time today, for the excellent work that you and Ali are doing in the lab, Ralph, and you, Steve, with the customers and your ADS team out there in the field. We really look forward to the next innovations that you all help develop, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for all those watching. Happy innovating.